there's a bunch of kids with James Harden jerseys who don't know anything about basketball. They just know the player, but it's just, I think he's going to have like a Carmelo type end to his career where he's not going to be able to recognize his new role. And it's just going to end kind of
100%.
sad, like, maybe a little premature.
Yeah, for sure.
So ultimately, what is his legacy? Assuming that things go as we think they will go, he doesn't win a ring, he doesn't have any other notable playoff success. Ultimately, what is his legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about Harden's legacy, all this stuff is going to come up, right? Like people are going to be like, he never won it with the Rockets. He got traded out of OKC. He didn't win it there either. He quit on a couple of teams. He's great offensive prowess, but what else? Like what else? Is he basically he's going to be called a glorified OJ Mayo. See? I was right at the end. But it's just I think it's a guy, a great offensive game, just couldn't finish it. I mean, if he didn't have all this like headaches that he causes later on in his career, maybe he has a legacy like Allen Iverson almost. Maybe. Right? But the fact that he has all this stuff, all this baggage that he's added at the end of his career, no one's gonna consider him like an AI. People are gonna be like, you're just another nutcase who could score.
Yeah.
I think that's unfortunately going to be his legacy, a nutcase who could score. Like when we're talking about this 20 years from later, oh, that James Harden guy, yeah, he could score, but man, what a nutcase he was, right? That's what people are going to call him, and that's how he's going to be viewed. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a ring. He didn't have any super teams he became a part of. He had one,
but he did.
He got traded.
Right? Yeah.
He had one. He got traded out of it. Not by his. I guess he could have taken that $4 million less, saved the OKC money, but he was like, hey, I'm about my paper, right? And that's unfortunately what he chose. He chose his paper over a legacy and championship. So,
and that's what he's going to be known for. Set the stage for things. I mean, I don't blame him for wanting the money he deserved in OKC, and they should have just taken the tax bill, at least for a year, see how it works out.
Yeah.
I'll never side with a cheap owner over players.
No, I mean, they could have eventually waived Kendrick Perkins, bro. Like, you didn't want to get James Harden instead of Kendrick Perkins? Like, that was the conversation, and they kept Kendrick Perkins. It's like, come on, man.
It's a different NBA. Then they obviously didn't think that highly of Harden, but they could have traded him the next year. They didn't have to do it that summer. So a lot of things have gone wrong, I think, in the OKC thing. I think ultimately his legacy is like you said, a guy that can score, but he's not going to have that same like cultural appeal that Allen Iverson did. I feel like people in Houston still love him. That's what the impression is I get from like Rockets Twitter and Rockets Reddit. They're like, oh man, remember the glory days with James Harden? Because I think they get blinded to some of the other stuff when they're
100%,
huge fans of him. So I think he'll always be tied to the Rockets, always be tied to the city of Houston. But I think ultimately he's just going to have that reputation as a loser. And that's really unfortunate because there were chances for him to overcome that label. But I think right now it's too little too late. People are going to look at all his stats. He's going to end up in the Hall of Fame because the NBA or the Basketball Hall of Fame lets anybody in, and he has the accolades. Yeah. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But he's not going to have the winning. And that's obviously the most important thing. So
100%.
Is he the greatest quitter of all time? Yes or no? In pro sports history.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes. 100%.
Yeah, I think we talked
once.
about
he's
it.
He's quit once. He's quit twice. He's quit thrice now. Like he's quit
thrice.
3 times. My goodness. Like, can you find me anyone else who's quit 3 times on 3 different teams? I don't think so.
We couldn't find one.
We couldn't.
At least nobody notable.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin Durant, but that's a conversation for another team for another time.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know what you guys think. I mean, I agree. It's hard to find a comparison for a player of this caliber getting traded this many times and forcing his way out of 3 different situations just because they hit a little bit of turbulence. We give guys credit for sticking around during a rebuild, and he has never done that. And that's unfortunate because he is one of the great players of this era, but maybe that's one of the problems is that in this era, he is one of the greats, and that's the issue. So that's it for the podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you follow us and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the major social media platforms and check us out on our YouTube channel if you haven't already at youtube.com/4040visionpod. Thanks, y'all. Thanks so much.